Ladies and gentlemen, imagine standing in the middle of your storm, feeling completely broken, uncertain if you'll ever rise again. Now, realize this: the very cracks in your life are the places God desires to use to build something extraordinary. Today, I want to share a truth that can transform how you see your pain, your past, and your purpose. God doesn't discard broken women. He uses them. He takes what seems shattered and through his divine power, crafts it into a testimony of hope, resilience, and victory. Stay with me because your story isn't over. Your brokenness is just the beginning of a powerful testimony that the world needs to hear. When you consider the story of transformation, when you think about the women who have come from the depths of despair and yet emerged with a testimony that shook the world, you realize something profound. God's power to transform brokenness is unmatched. It's almost like he specializes in taking what the world considers useless, shattered, or unworthy and turning it into something extraordinary. This isn't just a hopeful idea, it's a divine truth rooted in the very nature of God's love and grace. See, many women walk around carrying invisible burdens, shattered dreams, broken relationships, scars from past mistakes, and wounds inflicted by life's harsh realities. These aren't just superficial scars. Some run deep into the core of who we are, whispering lies that we are unworthy, damaged goods, or beyond repair. But here's the truth that we often overlook: God's power isn't limited by our brokenness. His grace doesn't run out when we feel most fragile. If anything, it's in those fragile moments that his power is most vividly displayed. Think about it. When we look at the broken pieces of pottery, we see something shattered, something discarded. But in the hands of a master craftsman, those same broken fragments become the very material from which beautiful mosaics are created. God is that master craftsperson. He takes the broken, the battered, and the discarded parts of our lives and begins to piece them together with love, intention, and divine purpose. The cracks and scars, they become the very lines that tell a story, your story, that points back to his redemptive power. Your brokenness is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you have been in the refining process, being shaped into who you are truly meant to be. It's important to understand that God's ability to transform brokenness isn't just about fixing what's broken, but about creating something new, something greater than we could ever imagine. When we are at our lowest, that's often when God is most active in our lives, working behind the scenes, preparing us for the next chapter. It's in those moments of pain and vulnerability that he reveals his strength, because his strength is made perfect in weakness. That's not just a comforting phrase. It's the divine principle that turns despair into hope, brokenness into testimony, and weakness into strength. Many women feel as though their past mistakes disqualify them from living a purpose-filled life. They carry guilt and shame that weigh heavily on their hearts, making them believe they are beyond redemption. But what if I told you that your past does not define your future? What if I told you that God sees your potential even when you see your flaws? The truth is, God isn't looking for perfection. He's looking for surrender. When we surrender our brokenness, our failures, our pain, our scars, he begins the process of restoration. That's when true transformation happens. Restoration isn't just about healing wounds or fixing what's broken. It's about being made new. It's about God taking the very things that have caused us pain and turning them into platforms of influence, hope, and power. When women understand that their brokenness is a part of their testimony, they begin to see their scars not as signs of defeat, but as evidence of victory. Every tear, every failure, every painful lesson becomes a part of the story that God is writing in your life. And that story has the power to inspire others, to break chains, and to ignite hope in places where despair once reigned. You see, the enemy wants us to believe that our brokenness disqualifies us from God's love or from living a victorious life. But the divine truth is that God's love covers all our broken pieces. His mercy is new every morning, and his grace is sufficient to carry us through our darkest nights. Our scars, rather than being our shame, become our badges of resilience. They tell the world that we have been through storms and survived, that we have faced the fire and come out not burned but refined. What makes this even more beautiful is that God doesn't just use our brokenness as a testimony of survival. He uses it as a platform for influence. The very things that try to destroy us become the things that propel us into our purpose. Our stories of healing and redemption become powerful messages that can uplift others who are still fighting their battles. When women share their journeys of brokenness turned into breakthroughs, they become living proof that no pain is wasted and no scar is too deep for God's healing power. This is where true empowerment begins. It's not about pretending we're perfect or that we don't have wounds. It's about embracing our brokenness with honesty and faith, trusting that God is using every piece of our story to build something magnificent. When we accept our vulnerability, we open ourselves up to divine healing. We allow God to take our mess and turn it into a message. And that message, the message of hope, resilience, and divine love, becomes a beacon for others who are lost in their own darkness. If you're feeling broken today, remember this: you are not beyond repair. You are not too damaged for God's grace. Your scars are not signs of defeat, but signs of survival. And your story, no matter how painful, is a testament to the fact that God's strength is made perfect in your weakness. Your brokenness is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a divine masterpiece. Trust the process, embrace the journey, and know that your testimony, your healing, will inspire generations to believe in the power of redemption and renewal. There's a truth that often gets lost in the noise of life's chaos and the weight of our own doubts. Vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It's a gateway, an open door to genuine growth, healing, and transformation. When we hide our pain, our fears, our imperfections, we deny ourselves the opportunity to be truly seen, truly loved, and truly healed. Vulnerability is the raw, unfiltered truth about who we are, and in that truth, there is power. Many women have been taught to put on a brave face, to act as if everything is okay, even when inside they're breaking. We've been conditioned to believe that showing our tears, admitting our struggles, or revealing our scars is a sign of failure. But what if embracing vulnerability is actually the key to unlocking divine strength? What if the act of being honest about our pain is what sets us free from the prison of shame and self-doubt? When you look at the stories of women who have faced tremendous adversity and yet emerged stronger, you see a common thread: they didn't deny their pain. They didn't pretend to be perfect. Instead, they acknowledged their brokenness and allowed themselves to be vulnerable enough to receive healing. That vulnerability opened the door for God to work in ways that sheer strength alone could never accomplish. It's in those moments of raw honesty that we make room for divine intervention. Vulnerability isn't about weakness, it's about courage. It's about having the bravery to stand in your truth, even when that truth exposes your scars or reveals your fears. This kind of courage invites God into the deepest parts of our hearts. It's in our openness that we find true strength, because we're no longer fighting alone. We're inviting divine power to work through us, to mend what's broken, and to renew what's weary. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we break the chains of shame and silence. We realize that our imperfections don't disqualify us from love or purpose. Instead, they make us relatable, authentic, and powerful. Vulnerability becomes the foundation for genuine connection, not just with others, but with ourselves. It's a declaration that our story isn't over, that our scars are not the end, but a new beginning. It's the act of saying, "Here I am, with all my flaws and all my pain, and I trust that God can turn it into something beautiful." There's a divine beauty in embracing our vulnerability, because it's in those moments that we become aware of our true worth. We stop hiding behind masks of perfection and start living in the fullness of who we are. We recognize that our brokenness isn't a sign of failure, but a testimony of resilience. When we are willing to be vulnerable, we open ourselves to divine healing, to transformation, and to the realization that we are more than our past mistakes or scars. This process of embracing vulnerability is not easy. It requires courage, and often it involves facing our deepest fears: the fear of rejection, the fear of judgment, the fear that we're too broken to be loved. But the truth is, vulnerability invites love, true unconditional love, into the cracks and crevices of our hearts. It allows us to experience grace in its purest form. When we let go of the need to appear perfect, we create space for divine grace to fill the gaps of our brokenness. And in that divine space, we find healing. We find strength to keep moving forward. We find the courage to try again. Vulnerability becomes the bridge that connects our pain to our purpose, our scars to our testimonies. It's where our authentic selves emerge, unfiltered and unashamed. When women choose to be vulnerable, they become beacons of hope, shining a light for others who are still fighting their battles in silence. Living in vulnerability means understanding that our brokenness is not the end of our story. It's the beginning of a new chapter, one where God's grace is sufficient, where divine strength is made perfect, and where our scars serve as reminders of what we've survived and what we're still destined to become. It's not about pretending to be okay. It's about being honest enough to say, "I need help. I'm hurting. I trust that God is working everything together for my good." That honesty is the very act that invites divine power to operate in our lives. When we embrace vulnerability, we also embrace the process of growth. Growth that is often uncomfortable because it requires us to confront our fears, our pain, and our limitations. But growth is necessary if we want to step into the fullness of who we are called to be. It's in the discomfort that we find the strength to shed old identities, to release shame, and to walk boldly in our divine purpose. Vulnerability is the soil where resilience takes root, where hope is renewed, and where transformation blossoms. It's important to remember that vulnerability isn't a one-time act, it's a lifestyle. It's a daily choice to show up as our authentic selves, to face our fears, and to trust that divine strength will carry us through. It's a declaration that we're no longer hiding behind the masks of perfection, but we're walking in transparency, trusting that God's power is made perfect in our weakness. When women decide to live vulnerably, they become catalysts for change, not just in their own lives, but in the lives of others. Their stories of courage and honesty inspire others to shed their mask and step into their truth. Vulnerability creates community because it fosters real connection. It reminds us that we're not alone in our struggles and that sharing our stories can be the very thing that sets someone else free. I want to challenge every woman listening today, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Don't shy away from showing your authentic self, even when it feels risky, because in that risk lies the possibility of divine restoration. When you allow yourself to be seen, you open the door for God to do what only He can do, bring healing, renew hope, and empower you to rise above your pain. Vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, it's a declaration of trust. Trust in the divine power that sustains, heals, and transforms. It's the key to unlocking the strength that lies within your broken places, turning pain into power, scars into testimonies, and vulnerability into victory. There is a divine rhythm to life, a cadence that often gets drowned out by the noise of doubt, distraction, and discouragement. When we embrace the truth that we are uniquely created with purpose and intention, we begin to walk to the beat of our divine destiny. Many women spend years trying to imitate others, following someone else's path, or seeking validation from the world. But the real power lies in discovering your authentic rhythm, the one that resonates with your purpose, your calling, your true self. That rhythm is not found in comparison. It's found in surrender, in listening to the whisper of God's voice guiding you day by day. Understanding your divine rhythm requires a deep level of self-awareness. It's about tuning out the external noise and tuning into what's happening within. The passions, the dreams, the desires that sometimes feel too big to even admit. Yet, these very desires are a part of your divine design. When you get quiet enough to listen, you realize that your life has a unique melody, a set of notes that only you can sing. Your experiences, your scars, your victories, they all contribute to that melody. Sometimes the music is soft, subtle, almost inaudible, and other times it's loud and commanding, but it's always there, waiting for you to recognize it. Walking in your divine rhythm requires faith, a faith that trusts even when the music isn't clear or when the melody is interrupted by life's disruptions. It's about trusting that every note, every pause, every crescendo is part of a larger symphony designed by divine orchestration. Many women get caught up in trying to rush the process or force their way through obstacles, but true alignment comes when we surrender to the timing of God. We learn that patience isn't passive, it's active trust, a willingness to wait and to believe that the right opportunities, the right connections, and the right seasons are coming at the perfect time. This journey of discovering and walking in your divine rhythm is not just about personal fulfillment. It's about fulfilling your purpose in a way that impacts others. When you operate in your authentic rhythm, you attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the divine favor that accelerates your progress. It's a divine magnetism that draws your purpose towards you because you're no longer trying to fit into someone else's mold. You are embracing who you truly are. And in that embracing, you become a beacon for others to do the same. There's a compelling truth that when you find your rhythm, you also find your resilience. Because life will test you. It will throw unexpected notes into your melody, challenging your stability and faith. But resilience is built when you learn to dance with those unexpected changes instead of resisting them. You realize that setbacks, failures, and disappointments are not the end of the music, but pauses that prepare you for the next powerful movement. Resilience is about standing tall in the midst of chaos, knowing that your divine rhythm is strong enough to carry you through any storm. Living in tune with your divine rhythm means embracing your uniqueness wholeheartedly. It involves letting go of the need to conform, to be like everyone else, or to fit into societal expectations. Your authenticity is your greatest asset because it's a reflection of your divine purpose. When you walk in your authentic rhythm, you inspire others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of confidence, courage, and authenticity that can change communities, families, and generations. Trusting your divine rhythm also means surrendering control. We often try to orchestrate every detail, plan every step, and manipulate outcomes to fit our expectations. But life teaches us that true peace is found in surrender, trusting that God's plan is better than anything we could ever imagine. It's about releasing the need to control and instead leaning into divine guidance. When you do that, you tap into a supernatural flow, a steady current of grace that carries you effortlessly through the seasons of life. In embracing your divine rhythm, you also discover the importance of rest. Rest isn't just about physical downtime, it's about spiritual renewal and mental clarity. When you rest, you give yourself space to hear from God, to reflect, and to realign with your purpose. Rest is an act of faith, trusting that even in your pause, God is working things out behind the scenes. It's in those moments of quiet that clarity comes, and your next move becomes evident. Rest reminds us that we don't have to hustle nonstop to be successful. Sometimes the most productive thing we can do is pause, breathe, and listen. Living in your divine rhythm is a continual process of tuning in, adjusting, and trusting. It's not about perfection, but about progress. You may stumble. You may hit wrong notes, but each mistake is an opportunity to learn, grow, and refine your melody. The divine rhythm within you is resilient, adaptable, and eternal. It echoes the heartbeat of your Creator, reminding you that you are fearfully and wonderfully made for a purpose that only you can fulfill. When you walk in your divine rhythm, you begin to see the beauty of your journey, the peaks and valleys, the silent moments and loud victories, all working together to shape you into the woman you're destined to become. This rhythm isn't just for your personal peace. It's a prophetic declaration that your life is aligned with divine purpose. It's a confirmation that your steps are ordered and that every season, no matter how difficult, has a divine reason. There is a divine dance happening in your life, and the more you surrender to it, the more you discover that you're not just moving through life, you're moving with life. You're flowing with the current of divine grace, allowing it to carry you beyond your limitations and into realms of possibility you never thought were accessible. It's about waking up each day with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that your unique melody is vital to the symphony of creation. I want every woman listening to remember that your divine rhythm is a gift, a sacred song only you can sing. It's a rhythm that calls you to be authentic, resilient, patient, and trusting. As you walk in that divine rhythm, you will find your steps becoming lighter, your purpose becoming clearer, and your life becoming a testament to divine orchestration. You are not here by accident. You are here by divine design, and your melody is needed in this world. Walk boldly, listen closely, and dance to the beat of your divine purpose, because your rhythm has the power to change everything.